you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the direct sequel to one of the most beloved video games of all time. It's also, according to the chronology of the series that was officially released by Nintendo, it's the oldest game. It takes place at the latest point in the timeline. We're not going to get into that chronology though, because that would take about 3 videos and about 45 minutes to do so. We are, however, going to talk about how this game, for all of its innovations and advances, is pretty much reviled by a lot of gamers because of the departures it takes from its predecessor. Today's game is The Adventure of Link, Legend of Zelda 2. Okay, so The Adventure of Link starts with Link being told that Zelda has been put under a sleep spell, and the only way to wake her up is to utilize the powers of the Triforce. And the particular Triforce that you need in order to wake her up is hidden. The fragments are hidden in a number of statues around Hyrule. Now, that's all well and good, because I mean, you had to find the Triforce or pieces of the Triforce in the first Zelda game. What makes this one particularly difficult for a lot of gamers to swallow is the fact that in Zelda 2, most of the game takes place in a side-scrolling environment. 1. 2, while it has those platforming elements that are pretty much a required part of a side-scroller, there are a number of RPG elements in this game, including a standard overworld map where you end up being attacked at random by enemies, a series of dungeons and items to collect, and leveling up, and different spells you have to learn, and things like that. These are all mainstays of the RPG, and that's all well and good, because those things have become commonplace throughout the Legend of Zelda series now. What bugged a lot of gamers was that it was just thrown out there. It was so completely different, but because this happened around the time of the release of Super Mario Bros. 2 in the US, and we all saw how different what we got in America was from what happened in Japan. Because of those differences, gamers kind of expected this game to be a bit different. The problem was the fact that the game was exponentially more difficult than the original title because of those gameplay changes, and a lot of gamers weren't really used to RPG. Honestly, weren't used to RPGs at that point on console games, especially side-scrolling RPGs. And this one, you know, as good as it was, it could have been a lot better. This game has its faults. The level layouts in some instances feel awkward. The encounters with enemies and things like that, these things feel awkward and forced. Whereas a title like Faxanadu, which came out about a year or so later, and was also published by Nintendo, it does everything that Zelda 2 tries to do, and it does it better. And so a lot of the concerns voiced by gamers over Zelda 2 and why it doesn't work as well as Nintendo wanted it to work a lot of those things are valid. If you notice, we never got another Zelda that played exactly like Zelda 2. We never got another one of those. We got some reissues of Zelda 2 on the Game Boy Advance and Virtual Console and things like that, but we never got another game that played like this one. And it's a testament to Nintendo understanding that as good as a game is, and as well received as it is, there are times when trying to be different for the sake of being different in your gameplay elements might not work out. And I mean, it might be a problem that Nintendo is facing with their current batch of consoles also. But we'll see how that pans out as it happens. As far as collecting, Zelda 2, I mean, both of the Zelda games aren't uncommon games, but for some reason they're priced ridiculously high in some avenues. Copies of Zelda 2 go about $30, range up to about $30 for cartridge only on eBay, as I've seen over time. So finding the copy isn't difficult. It's just a matter of, do you want to pay for that copy? But as far, I mean, I like Zelda 2. Don't get me wrong, but for what it is, man, Zelda 2 is probably the throwaway in the Zelda series. There, I said it. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow.